Hi YouTube world, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I am Adrienne. I live in New York City and I love playing with makeup. And this is my Shop My Stash series, which I call My Week in Makeup. And I have tackled so much this week. And I also went shopping. Two things that, recipe for a very long video. So get ready for me to talk about brand new formulations, comparisons of, drugstore and high-end, as well as what I have on my lips, which is apparently the same shade, but clearly not the same shade. So I want to warn you on the Charlotte Tilbury lip blur if you're interested in that, and all sorts of other goodies. Blend Bunny, hello. Sugar and Grunge, I use this all week. I have thoughts and a little bit of criticism, but overall fantastic palette. So if you are curious about all the items that I played with, if you want to hear all my unsponsored thoughts on all of these products, just stay tuned. As I mentioned, it was a long week. I have been doing a lot of organizing. I have all these lippy videos coming your way, which I filmed and now I'm editing. So I'm gonna go in order of application because I just find that it might be easier to organize that way. First things up is the LORAC Pro Skin Glass Skin Primer. This here, I had never used this before. It's a really beautiful, heavy bottle. The formula is very interesting. It's a dropper formula, and it's this like very oily primer that goes on the skin and it just gets absorbed immediately and leaves behind like a velvety finish. I wouldn't say this is glass skin. This is more like velvet skin. It seems to be just a fast acting absorbent oil, like a dry oil. That's the sensation you get, kind of like, and then it ultimately ends up being velvety. I don't know what to make of this. I'm still playing around with it. I liked it. It worked nice under the foundations I chose this week, but I don't know that it added anything much to the mix. I still think it's an interesting product. And so again, I'm gonna keep playing with it. Maybe I'll just use it every single week, at least one time a week with each foundation to see if there's just some sort of magic formula about it. If you have this product, let me know how you use it. If you really love it, because I would be curious. Moving on to foundations, I played around with a few foundations. I'm still trying to get accustomed to my deeper color right now. And in doing so, it's making me play around with foundations and also seeing that I have so much of my melasma peeking through. I'm just noticing coverage levels and finishes much more closely, and surprisingly I started off the week with the Smashbox Halo Tinted Moisturizer. I used to have to mix my two shades, Fair Light and Light Neutral. I really just had to use Light Neutral this week, and I have to say I really didn't like this. I don't know if I've just had these for such a long time, because these used to be definitely a favorite of mine. But in comparison to the Tower 28 Sunny Days, and I wear my shade in Mulholland 20, I mean, I just loved this so much better. This covers a lot more with little product. This is a little too thin for me. And I feel like I'm applying a lot and it doesn't necessarily hydrate my skin really well. Whereas this one, I can just apply a small amount and it adds to the hydration of my skin. It adds to the dewiness. It might be a little too dewy for some people, but I do think it just looks really good. So when I'm comparing these, there's no way I'm going for one of these when this one is just a better shade match. I can even thin it out when I'm lighter and it still works for me. And I really like the formula. I have fallen for this formula. So I am actually going to declutter these and I'm going to keep playing around with this one because I love it. Another foundation I kind of dredged up, and this was one that I had put into like the penalty box, and I retried it before I officially decluttered it, and I decided to keep it. And it's from NARS. It is their Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer, and I have mine in the shade Alaska Light 2. This is actually what I'm wearing today, and surprisingly, I've really enjoyed it as well. Do I enjoy it as much as this? I'm not sure yet. This is certainly still dewier than this one, but this one also has such a nice texture going on the skin. I think where my frustration with this lied initially a long time ago was the tone was very, very off. Right now it's a lot less off, but it was very yellow on me before. Now it's a pretty good match. And the type of SPF that is used is not one that sits particularly well on my skin, but I didn't have a reaction today, so I'm not going to knock it for it. So I will be keeping this. I will continue to play with it. Now, because I was using that Tower 28 and it's so glowy, I was playing around with powders to top off. I like the idea of having an SPF powder, and so I had picked up this powder from Physicians Formula, and it is the Airbrushing Pressed Powder. It has SPF 30, and I picked it up in translucent, this one here. This is not translucent. This actually does have coverage to it, and I find that it is immensely cakey. So even if I do a light dusting of this, the way it adheres to my skin, it just makes everything look really cakey and gross. I do not like this product. I do not like this product at all. I think it's just way too thick. I can even feel like the thickness of the product. It doesn't feel very velvety and smooth. So I'm gonna be decluttering this one. This is a hard pass for me. Another one I went back to this week, this is more of a finishing powder, but it's a really beautiful finishing powder. This is by MAC, and it's their Mineralized Skin Finish. I have mine in medium. So this is the Skinfinish Natural. So it's not particularly glowy, just gives kind of a diffused effect, similar to the Hourglass finishing powders. And I just really love this one. And I think actually medium can work for light or light to medium. It doesn't provide that much coverage, so you can see that there. I just think it has such a nice texture. And with a light dusting, you can get just a nice diffused look. You can also go a little more heavy-handed and kind of use it as a powder foundation. I've done that. It's not so glimmery or anything. It has a really just nice texture to it. It's one of my favorite MAC products. The other powder that I used this week, I went back to using my Tarte Amazonian Clay Blurring Powder Foundation in 20N Light Neutral. I just kind of use this to dust on my face. It's okay. It's not the best color for me right now. I should probably be a little bit more fair, so I'm probably going to put it away. It is a really nice powder though. And if you use sort of like the puff, you can get a lot of coverage. I just want to show you. You can get a lot of coverage from that, but you could see I'm not exactly the right shade. If you use just a nice fluffy brush though, you can use it more as a setting powder with just a fluffy brush. I used a couple of concealers this week. I used the NARS Color Correcting concealer. I love this to help me cover some of that darkness, that melasma. I have it right here. I have it on my kind of little mustache area. It's just a really great color corrector, and I like the formula. It doesn't build up underneath, you know, whatever kind of light foundation I'm using. I also use the Pat McGrath concealer in L4. That one I used for blemishes. I have a blemish right here, like kind of in the center of my forehead, some other kind of discolorations, and this worked really well. You have to just use the tiniest amount, the tiniest, half of the tiniest that you imagine. I think this is gonna last me forever because it's so high coverage and it can look super cakey really fast. But if you just use that little amount, I find that it can look really pretty and it just does the job. For bronzer this week, I actually played around with two products that I hadn't really used. Well, one I hadn't used in a long time, and the other one I just recently purchased. This is the Tantour by Huda Beauty. I have mine in the shade Fair. And so it comes in this type of packaging where you just open it up. And this is so pigmented. This is crazy pigmented, but all you need is like the lightest little dab into it with a stipple brush, and you can blend this out around the perimeter of your face, and it is beautiful. It looks like you just got the most amazing tan. It is really something special, and it stays on the skin all day. I can't believe this was in the back of my drawer. This is so fantastic. This is a fantastic product, and I feel like it will be around forever. Similarly, I was impressed, not as impressed as the Tantour, but I was pretty impressed with this KIKO Milano Sculpting Touch Creamy Stick Contour in the shade 200. I had tried a blush in this formulation, and I really liked it. And so I went back and I picked up the contour, and I'm just going to show you the color. And it is a really nice color. It will be even nicer once I lighten up a little bit, but it is really beautiful, velvety. Once it sets down, it sets, but it gives you enough time to play around and blend it out, and it really does feel kind of like velvety to the touch. I went blush crazy this week. I wanted to test out some different formulations, and so I did. The one I'm wearing today is the one that I think surprised me the most. I really love the Haus Labs blush formula. This is the Color Fuse blush, and I have one of them in Acai Sky. This is extremely pigmented, but with a fluffy brush, you just go in one dip and it diffuses so beautifully on the skin. And it just brings a lot of life into any complexion. This color can work really for anyone. And so I saw that Loreal had released these Infallible 24-hour fresh wear blushes, and I picked this one up in the shade Legendary Berry, and it reminded me so much of the Acai Sky. And so I am actually wearing Legendary Berry on this side of my face and Acai Sky on that one. And I think they are very, very comparable on the skin. I will say that this one is just slightly more purpley or pink, and you can kind of see that that is sort of the result when it's really diffused. Whereas this one has a little more red in it. So if that matters to you, I think there's still a significant difference, but the texture of the product is very similar. This is highly pigmented, feels so velvety, so velvety, really, really beautiful pigmentation. And I was very impressed. I had never tried any of the Infallible products, and so because of this, I actually ordered the rest of the colors because I really liked them that much. And I also ordered the bronzer because I had never used the bronzer, and I just was really impressed with the formulation. So I'll definitely be reporting on that later, but I do recommend this one in lieu of this one if you don't have it. But if you want to splurge, the Haus Labs is still delicious. I still adore it. Another blush I had fun playing with is this one here by Hourglass. This is one of their ambient strobe lighting blushes in Incandescent Electra. I really like this. This is such an unusual blush. It does have shimmer particles that are almost kind of like blue, they have a bluish tinge to them, and gives like a very cool tone effect. With this peach, I just think it's very pretty. And I don't find it to be unflattering on my skin. Like, I don't feel like it particularly accentuates my pores or anything, but it's an unusual product. I don't have anything like it really, and having used it a couple of times this week, I really did like the sheen it gave my skin. So early this week, I went to Sephora after I went to a Pilates session, and I was on some endorphin high, and I just wanted to buy the whole store. And so I had my sister on the phone with me and we were just talking about products because she's not near Sephora. And so she's like, swatch this, tell me what you think about this. So I'm here swatching products, buying stuff for her because I'm gonna see her later on this weekend. I fly back home to Florida. And so I picked up on her recommendation, the Pat McGrath Divine Blush, and I picked up the shade Forbidden Fleur. She had heard a lot of good reviews about this. I have a very tenuous relationship with Pat McGrath. Generally, I don't get along with a lot of the formulas, or I don't think they're that special. But I did pick this one up because I swatched them all in store and I was intrigued. I liked that the formula, it seemed like very reasonably priced for the amount of product that you get. And I liked the shade. This is the shade here. And when I blended it out, I found like it created such a nice diffused look. When I got it home though, and I really started to play with it, I realized that it reminded me a lot of the Merit cheek colors. These here, I have every single shade. And so I picked a shade that is most like that Forbidden Fleur shade, and this is the shade Mood, and I just want to swatch it next to it. Again, kind of, this one has a little more purpliness, this one has a little more red. I have Raspberry Beret and some other colors that are actually a little more pink, but then they're missing some of the depth. One day this week, I actually did wear the Merit on one side and the Pat McGrath on the other. And I have to report that the Pat McGrath lifted my foundation more than the Merit did, and I applied them the same way. I used a stipple brush, dipped the brush onto the product and put it onto my cheeks, and I found that the Pat McGrath lifted my foundation significantly, whereas the Merit only slightly disrupted my foundation. Additionally, by the end of the night, I could not see the Pat McGrath, while the Merit was still pretty vivid on my cheeks. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this one a pass. I don't think even at its price point, it's worth it when I can buy a product that is exactly like it, nearly exactly like it at least, and it lasts better on me. I have 3 more blushes to talk about. The next one up is from Loreal. It is the Baked Blush and Brighten Raspberry. This is one of the matte finishes. I didn't love this. I actually was comparing this to the Haus Labs as well as the L'Oreal, and when I swatched it and kind of put it on, it was very flat. Even though it's a very nice berry color on the skin, it just looks more powdery. And the other L'Oreal blushes, the ones that are not matte, I find actually perform really well and sit beautifully on the skin. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this because it's not really for me. Maybe if someone had less dry skin on their cheeks, I have very dry cheeks, maybe it will look better. Or maybe if I use like a very hydrating foundation, I don't know. But with all the other kind of berry blushes that I have, this one really doesn't have a place in my collection any longer. I picked up the 2 new shades of Glossier and I'm testing them out. So this week I tested out the shade Soar. This is so beautiful. It's just like a watermelon pink, and I love it. I love it. Now, I used to adore this formulation and I still love it. It's still a beautiful formulation, but I don't think I love it as much as I used to. Here it is. It's just such a beautiful watermelon pink. Really lovely. I can see how pretty that is, and it essentially sets down really fast. It's a great formula and it's almost like a watercolor. Last blush I will be talking about, I placed a small order from Half Magic Beauty. I had never tried them before and I had always heard really amazing things. I picked up one of their cheek fluffs in Magic Brownie. It comes in this like recyclable packaging that's neon, which is absolutely like my favorite color, is like lime neon, and it's this brownie color, but it has rosiness to it, and this is like one of the coolest formulas. Let me see if I could kind of just show you. It has some like warmth to it, toastiness. Like it could make a really nice bronzer, but it could also just make a really nice nude blush. This is just such a weird formula, and I really like it. It is like a putty formula, so definitely like you could leave an imprint there. It has like some dryness, but also has some moisture in it. I don't know. It's weird, but the packaging, even the outer packaging this came in was gorgeous. Something very Pat McGrath sort of like. And I like that they have this kind of recycled packaging. Last for face products, I gave this guy still a shot. This is the Benefit Professional Super Setter. It actually did better than I thought. I think it helped with the Tower 28. I think it helped with the Tower 28 Sunny Days to last a little bit longer. And I think that with the Tower 28, it is a good product because the Tower 28 is so dewy. And so I think I liked it. But I still have to keep using it because I'm not convinced it's the best setting spray. Let's do eyebrows really quickly. I'm still using the KVD Beauty Brow Struck. I moved on to light brown because honestly, I think it goes better with my hair right now, and so I'm glad I have it. But this is not a product that is currently sold, so ignore that I even mentioned it. I broke out a new 24-hour brow setter. I love this. This is all I'm wearing in my eyebrows right now. I'm actually not wearing anything else in them. And then we have the Precisely My Brow in number 5. I'm about to use this up, and so I figured might as well. So I'm going to use it. For my lashes, I tried a few mascaras. So I think I need to retire my Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. I love this mascara. It's a great basic mascara. Helps my very straight lashes curl and be defined and not look ridiculous. And so I've been using this for a while, but it's time to let it go. I opened up the L'Oreal Voluminous Original in Burgundy. It is what I'm wearing on my eyelashes right now. I don't think I like this. I don't think it does much. I mean, I really had to build it up to make it look like this, and I'm not even that impressed with it. I'm gonna still kind of keep it in rotation because it's kind of fun to have a colored mascara, but I just don't love that formula. I don't even love that formula in the original black, which people love, but not me. I also opened up a brand new Rare Beauty mascara. I had bought this in a kit and I have only used it a few times. I'm still on the fence about this one. I had used a whole mini once and I think it dries out pretty quickly, and once it reaches kind of a more drier phase, it tends to flake. Right now it looks nice, and when I've used it, it looked nice, but I'm just gonna keep a closer eye on it. I'm not convinced it's the holy grail that many people say it is. For my eyeshadow, of course, the Smashbox Photo Intensify eyeshadow primer. Love this. It is my holy grail, absolutely. Before I get into the Blend Bunny Cosmetics new palette, I want to mention 2 other eyeshadow items that I used. This one here, again, by Half Magic Beauty, is one of their eyeshadow singles in the shade Wet Pebble. It might not look like much, but holy cow, this is so, so beautiful. I recently wore this, just easily picks up with a brush, easily buffs out, and it's the most beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's just so, so beautiful. Where am I gonna put this? I don't know that you can appreciate how beautiful it is. And it has like a very like creamy, again, putty-like texture. You could see the indent. And it just blends like a dream, and it lasted forever. I'll try to insert a picture of a video that I wore it in. It was beautiful. And I topped it off with this gorgeous thing called the Chroma Addiction, I think it's called. This is in the shade ASMR. It's kind of their liquid, glittery, toppery type of product, but it's this here, and Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at that. It's so beautiful. It's so, so wet looking, and just the shimmers are really gorgeous, and it has this like amazing reflect, and it stays put. It stays completely put. I don't even have to use that primer that I use with everything, and it's just really truly that beautiful. The only other eye thing I'll mention before we get into this shadow palette is this ColourPop cream gel liner in the shade Piggy Bank. This was gorgeous. This was gorgeous. This came in that kit where I got an entire set of the cream gel liners from ColourPop, and some of them have been really, really not that great, and others have been okay, and this is the first that I feel has been phenomenal. And so that's this color here. It's this gorgeous orchid color. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So definitely a winner from that collection, but I'm going to keep playing around with them. Let's move on to the Blend Bunny Sugar and Grunge palette. I have really enjoyed working with this palette. I have really enjoyed creating the looks that I did. I will insert photos of some of the looks that I created. I did try every single one of these shades, and I do have some feedback. I know there was a lot of noise, we'll call it noise, from folks complaining that the metallics don't really line up with the primary colors. So like this one should be moved over here, this one should be moved over here, this one should be moved over here. Can I just, in defense of Blend Bunny Cosmetics, say I actually love that it isn't in the exact column that would coordinate monochromatically. The reason being, it's so simple for someone to look at this and just kind of follow the color line and not kind of feel like they could go outside of the line. And something about rearranging these, like shuffling them, at least makes me look at this palette differently, and makes me, almost gives me permission to play around with the colors and different colors, especially when you're not a color theory person. I'm not gonna make like crazy eye looks with 10 different colors, but I do like to experiment a little bit, and this sort of, I don't know, gave me more permission. Today on my eyes, I am wearing the green column, and I did use this one over here as underneath my eyes, and I buffed it out with this kind of lime pastel. The pastels are incredible. They're so incredibly pigmented. One of the most pigmented matte pastels I have ever used, and flattering, like flattering to buff out. Their matte formulation is incredible, but also their shimmers are really, really pretty. And I just really like the color story here. Insert pictures now, but I did a look with this color column. I did a look with this one, I don't have a picture when I used the gray, but I did use it and I did enjoy it. And the brown, I don't know that I have a great picture of when I used kind of the brown column. My only criticism is I was disappointed that these three mattes here, these dark mattes, so this is kind of a dark grungy green, this is more of a charcoal, and this is a very, very dark brown. There is barely a difference in these when you actually work with them. So I'm just swatching them, and I hope you can see. So the green, I can argue for it, but these two, I really wish that this shade here had been a little more chocolatey. It's a little too black, and I wish that this one was a little more gray. I mean, and looking at it, I think the green is okay, but I just find them to be too dark, and with not enough of like the color pigmentation that I would have wanted. It's a small criticism. It is not a deal breaker, especially if you're using these shades to just kind of darken out a corner or create a liner. They're gonna work beautifully. I did absolutely love the looks I created. I really do like Blend Bunny's formula. I have a few of their palettes, and I've always been impressed with the performance and the longevity. And I mean, the price point is killer. It's killer. It's great. It's a great palette. I highly recommend it. If there's any of the color schemes that really interest you, just go for that. It doesn't have to be this one, but I think you'd be so surprised by the quality of the formula. You will start to understand why there is a difference, why people go on and on about indie shadows, because they far surpass so many high-end brands. I mean, Pat McGrath, who? Moving on to lip products. So I hope it hasn't been terribly distracting, but I'm actually wearing two different lip products on my lips right now. On this side, I have the brand new Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Lip Blur in the shade Pillow Talk Medium. It's this one here. And I wanted to compare it with the original Pillow Talk Medium, which I happen to have is on this side here. So I hope you can see that this is much rosier. I understand that maybe there could be a level of depth difference, but if you're gonna name lip colors the same, I should at least hope that the undertone is the same, and it's not. This one just is so much more pink, and this is kind of so much warmer, slightly orange. I actually love the warmth of it. It's just not the same shade. It's just not the same shade. I wanted to warn everyone of that. That being said, I love the formulation of this. This is a kind of whipped sort of texture. It really is quite flattering on the lips. Reminds me very much of the Rare Beauty lip souffles, which I love, I adore. But actually, this is even thinner than that formula. So if you have that Rare Beauty formula, imagine that formula at 50% the thickness, yet the full opacity is there. I just think it's magnificent. It doesn't move, but it stays comfortable, and as you talk, it moves with you, so it's not cracking. It's a great formula. I think Charlotte Tilbury hit it out of the ballpark truly with this formulation, and I can't wait to pick up more colors in it. I also had a couple of lip products go head to head, other lip products. These lip glosses, I put them head to head. So this is my NARS A-lister that I love so much. It's a gold reflect gel based lip gloss. It's beautiful. I adore it. And when I was kind of cleaning up all my lip products, I bumped into this one that I had picked up by ColourPop. This is from their Winx Club collection. This is in the shade Stella. It's also very much a goldy lip gloss. The difference is when I kind of put these head to head, I couldn't get over, even though this one smells amazing. It smells amazing. It smells so good. It smells just like a Werther's original, but I could feel the grittiness on my lips, and it's just a thicker formula. This one just feels like so much more amazing. And honestly, I don't need two old lip glosses, so I'm gonna part with this one. Other lip item that I am very surprised about, actually, and I did an all-day wear test on this one, is by Haus Labs. Now, this is the old packaging of the lip oil, the PhD lip oil. This is in the shade Secondary. I put this up against the NYX Fat Oil in the shade Mist Call, this one here. And I gotta tell you, NYX for me was so much nicer, so much more comfortable. This one's very beautiful to put on, and it does feel as though it sort of penetrates the lips and is doing some hydration, but it thins out very quickly. And I found like I had to keep reapplying it. It yielded about the same color. This one, on the other hand, felt like it was hydrating my lips, but it also had such a shiny high gloss finish, much prettier than this one. And so I was very surprised, because I really thought the Haus Labs was going to far surpass this one, but as I put them side by side, it was just, you know, in fact, I'm gonna put them on side by side now so you can see. I put the Fat Oil on this side and the Haus Labs on this side. I hope you can see, like, how glossy and almost smoothing the NYX Fat Oil is. Like, it just blurs all my lines, kind of fills them in. This one, although it applied a really nice gloss, so you could see how pretty and glossy it is too, you could see my lip lines, because what it's doing is it's actually kind of settling in. I don't think it's like a terribly unflattering lip gloss. It's nothing like egregious, but if I'm gonna compare the two, NYX is so much better, so much better. I also like the fact that I know what color the NYX is, whereas this one I completely forget. I look at it and I'm like, is it gonna be orange? And then I forget, no, it's gonna be pink. I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but it's just not better than. And so I wanted to report that I did that comparison. And I think that catches us up. On my nails, if you're curious, I will link down the video before that I used. It's an Instagram inspo from Cirque Colors, and I actually used all the same colors that they use in that video. I did paint them myself. Kind of crazy. I'm not even that great at it, but I had fun doing this kind of like, I don't know, sunset rainbow 70s retro kind of thing. But I will find that video and link it down below so you could see it and you could see how they did it, because I followed it and it worked out. It worked out. So I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. Eventually one day these will become short and sweet and I'll have some amazing minimalistic collection, but that is not my universe just yet. If you have any comments, questions, let me know down below. Consider subscribing or hitting the thumbs up to give me feedback on how you're enjoying this series. And I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing week. And we'll talk soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.